Hello, today I'm going to share a method you can use to create bell sounds using additive synthesis. This method I find is best for atonal bells that are quite large. I'll be using phase plant to do this. To start with, I'm going to add an analog oscillator and set it to sine. I'm going to duplicate this oscillator. I'm going to set the harmonic scale to 0.5. I'll duplicate the oscillator a few more times with the harmonic scale increasing through integer numbers. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, as well as the 0.5. I'm going to change the envelope to a curve. Then I'll increase its duration and I'll modify it to have a sharp spike at the start. I'm going to lower the volume here with this gain. I'll also add a limiter to catch out any loud notes. Currently this only sounds very vaguely like a bell. One key feature of bell sounds is that they can have partials which aren't perfectly integer multiples of the fundamental frequency. We can replicate this by creating a macro, which I'll call detune. Then I'll assign this to the shift of each oscillator, apart from the first oscillator. Here I'm just choosing random values, so some will be tuned up a bit, some will be tuned down a bit. Now if we raise the detune macro, it's already a lot more like a bell. I'm going to reduce the level of the oscillators other than the fundamental one. I'm also going to add another curve in the modulator section. I'll invert this default shape. I'll extend its duration. I'm going to use this curve to make some of the partials fade out a bit faster than the fundamental. Let's click the plus and assign this to the level of some oscillators. So we need to assign it to reduce the level. These don't all need to be set to be reduced by the same amount. Here's how that currently sounds. So you can hear it sort of thins out and becomes more of a pure tone. We could also add an LFO to modulate the depth of this curve, and that would mean we have some slight volume modulation. We could also assign this to modulate the detune macro a little bit. There are a few other ways we can add in harmonic frequencies to the sound. One of those is to use ring modulation. Even the default setting sounds quite good. I'm going to assign the detune macro to increase the mix of the ring mod. I'll also assign it to the frequency. Something else we can do is use frequency shifting. We could reduce the mix of this lane and then also assign the detune macro to that. And then I think a bit of reverb is important. I've added convolver with a long impulse, and I've also added the default reverb. Now we can experiment with playing different notes on the keyboard and changing the detune parameter, and we should find that we can get all sorts of different bell sounds. We can also try multiple notes at once. Currently, with how this is set up, it will only go up to the 5th partial. There is a way we could add it so that it has a bit more high frequency content as well. To do that, I would add the wavetable oscillator, then go to edit the wavetable. I'd go to the draw mode and then remove the 1st partial and then draw from the 6th partial onward. Now it has a lot more high frequency content, perhaps too much at the minute, so I'll lower that. We could assign this to be detuned too. Now we can make quite a varied range of bell sounds.